What's going on, y'all? It's the kid Jay Nolan here. Hey man, now y'all know I did a video talking about why artists are canceling tours a few weeks ago. I talked about Lil Baby, Lil Durk, and a plethora of other artists in the industry that either are having trouble planning shows, having trouble filling the shows, selling tickets, and others that are having mental breakdowns, having physical issues with performing, needing operations on their body, etc., anxiety, all of these different things, mental health problems. But we're gonna get into Miley Cyrus. She came out recently and actually expressed why she doesn't enjoy touring at this point in her career. And I thought it was a very interesting explanation. So I'm gonna play the video and then I'm gonna try to break it down in simpler terms for everybody out there, just so that you can get a little bit more of a human connection with these performers. I think a lot of times we look at them like they're robots, like they're not real people, like we should be expecting them to always be on go, on 10 at all times. But again, I feel like Miley did an excellent job of breaking down how she feels and what she goes through as a performer, as an artist that has to deal with these expectations.
Traveling as a cheerleader really set me up for touring. Like the show or the competition may only be a day. And that's what people don't really understand about touring is the show is only 90 minutes, but that's your life. If you're performing at a certain level of intensity and excellence, there should be an equal amount of recovery and rest. There's a level of ego that has to play a part that I feel gets overused when I'm on tour. And once that switches on, it's hard to turn it off. And I think when you're training your ego every single night to be active, that's the hardest switch for me to turn off. Having every day the relationship between you and other humans being subject and observer isn't healthy for me because it erases my humanity and my connection. And without my humanity, my connection, I can't be a songwriter, which is my priority. You ever seen a girl that's been on tour for 2 years? They come back with facial hair. I'm telling you. I'll tell you right now, I got dermaplane when I was on Banger. We hear it from Miley, but we got ZZ Top.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack here in just that 1 minute of Miley Cyrus talking. There was a lot of different points that she hit. And I understand that there's a lot of people out there that don't necessarily like Miley Cyrus, especially in the urban community, in the hip hop and R&B world. A lot of people felt like she came into the hip hop game. She was working with Mike Will and all of the Ray Sremmurd guys and stuff like that. And she kind of infiltrated the hip hop R&B world, came and did a few records, used us for the exploits, and then she dipped and went back to being a country girl and doing all of that type of stuff. I completely 100% agree with that, but that does not mean that I should strip her of her humanity and not hear her out on an issue that a lot of people seem to have. So the first point that she talked about is being a cheerleader set her up for touring, right? So we all know that Miley Cyrus came into music and came into entertainment at a very young age, preteen, going into teenage years. And being in competitions like cheerleading, it does give you the opportunity to be in front of big crowds, right? You have to perform at a high level. You have a lot of stakes at risk. If you make a mistake, if you're out there trying to flip, or if somebody's holding you up and you fall, you could really injure yourself. So that definitely prepares somebody to be in front of a crowd, in front of a tour, you know what I'm saying? But at the same token, the abnormality of it that she spoke on is when you go do a cheer competition, you get to rest, you get to leave, and you may not go to the next cheer competition until next week, next month. And then you have all of this preparation time that you can rest, you get to practice, you get to do the routines over and over, so that by the time you go back to the next one, it's pretty much 100% down. Of course, a freak accident can happen. It's always a liability, but all of the practice that you get in between shows, you get to kind of perfect it. Then she goes on to say, on tour, the show is only really about 90 minutes, an hour and a half. A lot of people devalue that and say, hey, you get to be up here for an hour and a half. Why don't you want to come to the next city? Why don't you want to entertain us? You guys are so rich. You think that you got so many problems. You have no idea how it is in the real world. And you might be right. However, take your dusty ass on stage and sing to some motherfuckers for 90 minutes, right? Put your heart and soul on the line. Have 20,000 people gazing at you. And if you mess up, they're going to be looking like, okay, what the fuck's going on? What's about to happen next, right? You try to be perfect for 90 minutes on stage. You try to guide a crowd of 20,000 people to follow every ebb and flow in your vocal inflections. If you stand here, if you move here, if you grab the mic fast, if you grab the mic like this, if you close your eyes, if you put your hand in the air. Look at the scrutiny that people, look at Beyonce right now going on tour every night, every city that she touches down in. There's a video coming out the next day, and some people love it, some people criticize it, and some people speak in a manner that I can't tell whether or not they like the shit because it's just weird. But that's not what regular people have to deal with. Being under that microscope and living under that microscope, it breaks a lot of people down emotionally and internally that you would never even know, right? And you expect them to go make an album about it. So now they have to wallow in their pain. They have to write about it. They got to record it. They got to listen to it 30 million times before it actually gets to you. Then they have to go out on tour for 4 months, you know what I'm saying, and keep singing these songs about their low moments. You don't think that harms people? Then she gets into the matter of overusing the ego. Ooh, this was really something that spoke to me. I can relate to this. Being in the hip hop field, it requires a lot of bravado, right? I'm a very modest and chill person, right? I'm not very overly assuming. When I walk into the room, I'm not the one that's going to be speaking to everybody, shaking everybody's hand all aggressively, hugging on everybody. I kind of say, what up, y'all? How y'all doing? And I kind of go do what the fuck I want to do. But when you're on a tour, or when you're constantly performing, or when you're constantly in a position where you feel like you have to meet people's expectations of who you are, what you end up having to do is dig deep inside you and turn on that ego, right? The average person, your ego may come out in an argument. Your ego may come out when you feeling yourself. You think you got a nice outfit on, and you know what I'm saying, you got a haircut and shit like that, and you might say something a little bit snappy to somebody that you like or love. Your ego may come out if somebody's undermining you in the workplace and you feel like you have to advocate for yourself, so you start popping your shit. But these are not common occurrences that you're going through 12, 15 hours a day, every day. You're damn sure not doing this shit in every city, going through a 40 city tour, going overseas, right? Then when you come down off the stage, people do meet and greets and all of this different shit, and you still have to be that same person that they see you and know you as in order to get through the meet and greets, taking all the photos. Hey, yeah, come over, get over here, get in here, kid. You really like, man, can these motherfuckers get up out of here? But you gotta turn it on. You gotta be charming, right? You gotta be funny. A lot of motherfuckers ain't naturally funny, right? That shit ain't easy to be trying to entertain motherfuckers, especially, when it's 20,000 in the stands, you can kind of just talk into the mist. But then when you got 15 of them behind stage and they still expect you to be that exact person, it's like, damn, these motherfuckers reading me for filth right now. But you gotta get through it. And unfortunately, the level that celebrities and artists and performers have to deal with that ego, it's unhealthy, right? Because once you turn it on, like she said, it's hard to turn it off because you start getting used to living in this fashion, because that's what helps you thrive. That extra ego, that extra fire, that extra chip on your shoulder. That's what's going to get you through the day, because you get to be the giant. So now you start feeling yourself, you start smelling yourself, you start taking drugs, you start doing this, you're overindulging in alcohol, trying to take the edge off so that you can be the giant, right? You're setting yourself up for unhealthy habits. A lot of people don't look at none of this shit, man. I'm not a psychology major or none of that type of shit. I'm not a mental health specialist. I'm just telling you how the shit really goes in the real world. Y'all got to look at it from just your standpoint. How does stuff happen to you? How does stuff happen to your loved ones? You think these celebrities and performers are exempt? Hell no. They're more sensitive to it because artists are already naturally sensitive. We're already living within our feelings, which is why we're able to make the music. Which leads into her next point. I mean, this was a fucking masterclass, this little clip here. She says, living in that ego space, right? Having to keep that on and turn that on, it leads to an unhealthy fan connection because you're the subject, they're the observer, right? You kind of become a clown in the circus. Not to say it in a bad way, but you're the center of attention and people are expecting you to be on 10. But the more that you're entertaining, the more that you're on 10, the more that you're being the subject of the observer, she says, takes her away from being the songwriter that she truly is. Now, everybody can't speak to this. Not every recording artist, not every performer is a songwriter. Songwriting is a very intimate process. This is why a lot of artists don't let a lot of people in the studio when they're having their creative juices flowing. This is why you have certain artists that turn the lights off when they record, a la Missy Elliott, right? This is why some people have the tea with the lemon and honey in it, and they turn the lights down low, and they're doing all these vocal exercises and all of the weird shit that y'all be making fun of, but they're really just trying to find their comfort zone, their zen, their chi, whatever you want to call it, that it factor that allows them to tap into their emotions and be completely vulnerable and express it on a mic like nobody else is looking. Now, not every musician goes through this process. I mean, there's a lot of party music being made, so you may not be expressing so much vulnerability in that sphere. But there's a lot of people that pull from real life things, pull from real life experiences, pull from their friends, family, loved ones' experiences, and want to dedicate those songs to those people. And they want to share those experiences because they know that real people, real life folks are going through the same shit, and they want to create that connection. But the connection is hard to tap into if you're constantly in your inflated ego, right? Because when you're in that space, you feel like nothing can penetrate your armor. So how do you go from nothing can penetrate your armor to being completely vulnerable, completely raw, and just letting folks know what it is? And a lot of people aren't able to sustain that, which is why some of the most insanely talented artists in the world, they have limited discography. Lauryn Hill, Andre 3000. At a certain point, they get tired of being the spectacle and they shy away and they run away from it vehemently, right? They become somewhat hermits. Lauryn Hill moved out of the country, started having tons of babies. Hey, that's her prerogative, that's her body. But she focused on family. Andre 3000, same thing, focused on his family, became tighter with his mother, stopped coming out the crib. Eventually, once he did start coming out the crib, you could see him roaming in random ass places you wouldn't even expect him to be, because he doesn't want to be seen as that celebrity. He wants to be anti that. He wants to be a regular guy. But he also doesn't want people making googly eyes at him just because they seen him in these random places. So all in all, you know, again, I know people out there don't like Miley Cyrus. I know there's a lot of people that criticize her, and all of those criticisms are quite fair. But I think in this 1 minute clip where she expressed this, I totally identify, I understand where she's coming from, and I'm glad that she said it, because there's so many out there that can't, won't, maybe they don't know how to put it into words that people can easily digest and identify with. But I'm saluting Miley for this, because a lot of people are going through it. Like I said, a lot of artists are canceling tours. A lot of artists are canceling shows. A lot of smaller artists are having trouble finding shows where they can be intimate, where they can be 100% them and feel safe, right? Because a lot of people are putting together events trying to put 30 artists on a lineup. They don't give a fuck who they sign up. They just want to fill the seats. That shit is not the wave. But let me know what y'all think it is down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the post notification bell for all updates, and I will see y'all on the next one, all right? Much love and respect. Peace.